I co-head the healthcare services team at JP Morgan. I'm in my 25th year of healthcare investment banking. Worked on over 250 transactions last 14 years or so, and have generally been focused on the health tech side of healthcare. I do run the healthcare services segment, spend about 20% of my time more broadly, typically where health tech will intersect a little bit with managed care and the payers. So let's see if I can, there we go. So look, I was gonna start with a little segment our global market strategist put out last month. If you follow Michael Semblist, you're fortunate to do so. I think he's one of the more prescient voices in the market. And his take on healthcare is that it is sick as a dog. Hence the challenges and opportunities, I suppose, here. So if I can point you first to the graph in the top right corner of the screen, and what that is that is the performance of the S&P healthcare versus technology components of the broader index, well, since Taylor Swift was born until about 2019. And as you can see from the orange line, healthcare has generally performed a little bit better than technology. Overall, pretty much in lockstep. You can see the dot-com boom back there in 99, 2000. You can see the financial crisis dip around 2008, 2009, and you can see healthcare kind of took off, a little bit of a premium. You can't really tell with scale, but that's a pretty significant outperformance compared to technology there for a handful of years. That brought us all the way up until 2020, which graph on the bottom, 2020 through 2025. And in 5 years, and for the first couple of years, we bounced along there. Tech had its moment. We saw it surge. We saw SaaS companies, payments companies take off. Healthcare had a moment too. Teladoc, Livongo, the COVID vaccines coming out, spurring growth in biotech and pharma. 2021 characterized, I think the second half was about $200 billion of M&A getting done in healthcare. 220 globally, I think it was around 200 flat in North America. And then things changed a little bit in 2023. Which I believe it was second quarter when ChatGPT hit the App Store, and that kicked off the AI frenzy in technology, and you can see the difference. Now, it wasn't just about tech having AI and healthcare not having AI. We had a couple of things going wrong in healthcare, or challenges. To look at this from a different perspective rather than just stock performance, we can look at PEs. Roughly over that same period of time, over the last 30 years, last 35 years. And as you can see, healthcare generally trades at a premium to the market. The market is that black line, the blue bars are the range of PE ratios during this 35-year period. And right now, those orange dots are the current PE ratios. Pharma, biotech on the left-hand side, medical devices, healthcare providers and managed care are pretty much bringing up the rear. Life sciences, discovery technologies, and you can see all healthcare on the far right. All healthcare is down about 25% compared to the market. And again, PE ratio, so valuations. We're seeing this across the public and the private markets. Pharma on the far left also down around 25%, and the providers and managed care are down around 35%, just compared to the market. That's not where they usually are. They're usually at a premium to the market. So why? Well, there's quite a few challenges. In any given year, I think you'd have 2 or 3 of these. Right now, there's been several factors. Let's call them all headwinds. Government pressure on drug prices, Medicaid eligibility and funding issues. That's been ongoing for a couple of years now. Government and DOJ investigations, not necessarily M&A related. We had the Liberation Day tariffs. We all thought we were starting to take off there in the first quarter. It was feeling good, ask a banker. And then everything just went sideways for about 2 or 3 months. We've also got the expiration now of the ACA tax credits, subsidies. We do actually have a lot of FTC and HSR limitations still around M&A. We're still navigating a lot of different dynamics with different buyers. Drug approval rates are down. Medicare rates are, well, we have a lot of things going on with Medicare rates. Let's call them sideways to down, given all the different, it's a polynomial equation, as everyone in the room knows. And then artificial intelligence, which you'd think of that as primarily a positive. In a lot of ways it is. But it's a challenge. It's a challenge right now for a lot of buyers. So let's look at how this is impacting deals. So healthcare actually feels pretty resilient right now, but I would tell you that the activity is actually pretty muted. And it looks like this is probably large enough for everyone to see. You can see 2021 very clearly. That's the peak of the mountain. That felt really good, by the way. Let's see. This year, call it by the end of March, was feeling like we were going to meaningfully be up from last year. It was, I think I was telling people it felt a lot like 2019, and it did. And look, year to date, we're at 40 deals, 2 IPOs, 38 M&A transactions of size and scale, really noteworthy transactions that we're tracking. And that is on pace to look something like 2017, 2018. We should have tracked ahead of 24 if it hadn't been for the second quarter and Liberation Day. But then if you look at the mix, what's going on the right-hand side, you can see a lot of health tech. So Access Healthcare is RevCycle, EdFX is interoperability, HealthEdge, claims processing. A little bit of clinical productivity. I throw out Hinge, a little bit of wellness, Omada, a couple of IPOs. We had a few last year. And then you do see a couple of chunky things. And look, the takeaways from my perspective on what's not getting done versus what's getting done, government reimbursed services are hard right now because of everything I just discussed. So slow growers, folks with limited TAM are having a hard time getting funded. Single product platforms present a little bit too much risk given the backdrop of the last few years. AI disruption risk, probably the number one challenge we're seeing with private equity investment committees right now. So what is getting done? Deep discount buys. It's hard to pass up a good deal. Private pay services, we're actually seeing a little bit of a resurgence around retail, consumer health. Outsourcers. If anybody is tracking services as a software trends, outsourcers are super hot right now. And then technology. Although it's a little bit of haves and have-nots in technology. There's almost as many software companies that are facing AI disruption risk as there are ones who are doing a great job of harnessing and finding ways to drive growth. There are also a couple of sure things, which I didn't put up there. It's a little macabre, but hospice care is very active right now, as is dialysis. So I think I've sort of noted that AI is a little bit of a double-edged sword at this point. So the question is it a zero-sum game or is it a TAM multiplier? This is a discussion I'm constantly having with buyers right now. I'll be honest with you, I don't have a perfect answer for it. I do feel like it is amplifying and multiplying TAMs, particularly TAMs where you have a data-rich environment. Now, this is a McKinsey survey. I can't take too much credit for it, really any. But they surveyed a bunch of health services leaders to identify critical areas of AI investment and the greatest potential for AI. No surprise, the top 2 categories here are administrative efficiency, clinical productivity. Both of them, were scoring around 50% based on the respondents. So what's that include? Well, it includes things that I was just talking about from a transactions perspective. Billing and claims processing, so RCM, payment integrity, CAPS, transcription, utilization management. That's where the deals are happening. Now, what's on the comm? Well, consumer member engagement, patient engagement, IT infrastructure, so interoperability. You can't do AI if you don't have high quality data. And look, the question about is it a zero-sum game? So for every gain we see in technology, is it at the detriment of a services company? it's a hard one to answer. I would tell you that for every company I know that's growing 100%, I don't know any going to zero. We do see a lot of companies going sideways. We do see some incumbents going sideways. For the first time in my career, I am seeing a remarkable pace of transactions where you are seeing legacy incumbents merging with fast-growing technology companies and trying to accelerate the overall thesis. And again, I think the North Star here for some of these solutions is that productivity is ground zero right now for AI adoption, or at least in deals in healthcare. Whether it's the graph on the left looking at healthcare labor productivity, or it's the graph on the right looking at the shift towards administrative intensity over the last 40, 50 years. It's a remarkable one. You can Google it. You'll get ratios of anywhere between 6-to-1 and 10-to-1 administrators to clinicians in hospitals, which is a remarkable thing despite electronic medical records and all the other tools that my clients have been bringing to market for the better part of 25 years. And yet we are still stuck in a pretty challenging spot. And keep in mind that for the last 5 to 6 years, the primary value thesis behind most of the S1s I've written and the SIMs I've brought to market was $1 trillion of waste. If you double click on any of those reports, whether it's the original JAMA one or all the iterations thereafter, you will find that the majority of it is administrative spend and inefficiency. So look, to kind of wrap up here where we started looking at some stock graphs, we have been here before. For those of us over 35, which I'm just going to say is most of us, I think, we all remember what it felt like back in 2010. The rest of the market was starting to thaw, was starting to come out of the financial crisis. We got the Affordable Care Act. And for about a year, almost 2 years, really through 2011, it felt like a nuclear winter in healthcare. But then we got a number of good years. And if you remember the graph at the beginning, that was when healthcare really took off. And I will tell you that thinking back to the conversations I was having, whether they were at the JP Morgan Healthcare Conference in January or in different conference rooms across America, it took time to figure out what the strategics wanted to do. It took time for them to assess the assets that they own and where they wanted to deploy capital, but make no mistake, they generate a lot of capital and it needs a return. And so they did deploy it. They deployed it quite actively. And look, on the right side of the page, we had a handful of really phenomenal growth years. Once we figured out which direction we were going in, 2012 was up 14%. 2011's not up here, but it was up about 10%. 2013 was up 35%, and 2014 was up 25%. Those aren't compounded returns. Those are just absolute performance for those years. And look, I recognize I'm an investment banker, so I can't help but be pretty optimistic about where we're going from here. But I will tell you that all the signals and signs that we're seeing point to a pretty good 2026, barring any other black swan events. So I'll wrap up here. I think it's a fairly positive note, and hopefully it sets the stage for some of the conversations everyone's going to have later today.